presented by Under Armour and live on playback. Welcome to Light Years. Andy Lou, we're recording this in the
great day.
Middle of the fourth quarter?
Great game.
Beginning of the fourth quarter. The Warriors are currently down 54 points. It's 121-67. That won't be the final score. Forgive me for thinking the final score is going to matter in any capacity. I'll let you start. What's your thoughts on today's game?
I don't know if I have thoughts on the game. The only thing I thought of that it was a little annoying is Steph probably shouldn't have played. Questionable coming in. Felt like he was on the borderline. He probably really pushed to play. And I don't know if he looked injured or not. I don't know about that. He just missed a bunch of shots. Team wasn't locked in. And it felt like one of those games in hindsight. Yeah, Steph, maybe just fly back to San Francisco. Right? That's the only thing about this game. I think other than that, to Wednesday, right? So other than that, I think with this game, I don't know. It kind of feels like a schedule loss. Maybe the Warriors aren't better than the Celtics. They're probably not better than the Celtics. But, I mean, they play on the road. 4 games and how many nights, and last game against Toronto they struggled to get in. They're tired. It just felt like one of those where it's like, man, they probably could have flown home. The only thing that was annoying to me, 7 games in 5 days. The comments on playback are telling us 7 games in 10 days. 7 games in 10 days. The final thing, the NBA deserves this type of game because of the way that they're scheduling these games. What are you doing? If you're going to want to do a Sunday showcase game, don't put 3 games in 4 nights. Don't put 7 games in 10 days. You're asking for a team to either 1, be injured, or 2, just not show up. And the Warriors didn't show up tonight. So
today, let's make it clear. Today.
No,
I mean, look, when we looked at the road trip, we were saying 3-1, probably a loss in Boston. Doesn't mean watching them go down 50 wasn't painful and annoying to watch, but you take a big picture look at the whole thing. Schedule loss, embarrassing game. I think you're pretty much right there. Like that's the problem the NBA runs into. If you notice, the Warriors are on ABC a lot in the second half of the season, and there's a lot of showcase games, and there's a lot of we got to fit the whole schedule in. So you get the Warriors playing a day game on Sunday after a back-to-back Thursday and Friday night in New York and Toronto. Is what it is. They didn't have legs to start the game. Boston, obviously, if you're not going to defend them, they get hot. Yeah. They can heat up as well as anyone, and it is what it is. I think my biggest concern looking at this is, yet another loss against a team above 500. I don't have the number in front of me right now, but their record against good teams is not good. Their record against bad teams is good. Honestly, you know what that tells me? Their record is who they are. They're a middle of the road team. Right. They're not a bad team, but their flaws get exposed when they play against the better teams in general.
I
didn't need today's game to really tell me that, but it's just another one to remind you of that.
I think that Denver game probably spoke more to that than this game, though.
True.
It may be fully healthy. I would say Boston still wins this game. They looked like they were locking. The game plan was so dumb, right? Did you see what what was going on there to start the game? Jaylen Brown just shooting layups and threes all game. What are we doing? I get they're trying to get in his head and stuff, but they weren't locked in at all today. So I'm with you on the record stuff that they're a middle of the road team, but I just, to me, these games feel like it's more a statement about the NBA and scheduling than it is about the Warriors. It's just like, I don't know what you expect the Warriors to do. Are they supposed to come here and try? Like, people are annoyed, and it's like, what do you expect this team to do? It's pretty rough.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad off the bat. To your point, if it was going to be like this, they wasted everyone's time. Even putting Steph in uniform. You might as well get him the full rest. I appreciate him trying to play. He's about the right things. He always tries to play in every game so fans can watch. He got a huge ovation pregame. Did you notice that?
That was pretty cool.
Boston Garden, just Just a reminder whose league it is. But, should have been realistic with it. Shouldn't have played today. It is what it is. Clay also got rested in the second half. Draymond, and to be fair, when they were down 40 plus at halftime, what's the point in sending any of those guys out there in the second anyway, right?
Right.
You kind of just have to play the odds. And now, let's do a quick second here on it, but get a couple days off to fly home. Then they get Milwaukee, who is pretty hot. Chicago, you can't lose to Chicago at home.
Back to back, though. Yeah, it's tough.
And Spurs on Saturday night. And Spurs, I'm not going to say they're good, but Wembanyama's he's taken a step. He's kind of playing like that guy that everyone said was like the best prospect maybe ever, since LeBron. Have you seen him recently? It's just a joke.
Well, he single-handedly destroyed Chet Holmgren and turned the Rookie of the Year debate into not a debate. That was pretty funny, pretty absurd.
The block he had on Chet when Chet went into his because I don't think he's Kevin Durant, but he can go to those KD type of moves off the bounce here and there, and it generally works because he can shoot. And just blocking it, standing still 5 feet away, I was like, I don't know what you do with that guy. I can't shoot anywhere around him. That's all.
And they don't like each other, so it was a pretty emphatic. It was a fuck you moment. Like, hey, you're not on my level, bud.
Yeah.
And Chet's not. He's awesome, but he's not on this level. So that'll be tough.
Yeah, and it's when I'm looking at this, and I can pull up the standings after this also, but it's I don't know what's going to happen against Milwaukee. Milwaukee on the road, you might be able to steal it, but more likely than not, you're probably going to lose that game. But you got to win the next two against Chicago and San Antonio. And I don't know, man. The schedule is just kind of rough for them. Just a lot of games in the second half. Got to get them on ABC the following Saturday against the Lakers, which means flying from Dallas to LA and then back home the following day against the Knicks. And it's a lot of games coming down the pipe for the Warriors.
Yeah, it's a lot of games, but also, the other side of it is they're playing a lot of teams that aren't very good though, too. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. They're playing San Antonio. They have a shot. They're playing guys that they can either stretch away from or catch, right? Dallas, LA. They're going to play Dallas 3 more times. And they're probably not winning all 3 games, but if we win all 3 games, all of a sudden the Warriors are a 6 seed, right? So it's like they have a chance, an opportunity to really put themselves there to be outside of the play-in game. And you're right, it's a lot of games in a row, but their schedule makes it so that, hey, you've got a lot of crappy teams and you play a lot of teams you could just beat. But to your point, they haven't beat good teams this season. That's the thing. So if you're not going to beat good teams and now you're going to have to beat good teams to get into a 6 seed, that becomes tougher. But tonight to me just felt or today, I keep saying today just really felt like, to me, it's just a throwaway, man. What are you supposed to do, man? Just keep it moving. 3-1 road trip, happy, go home. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah. And
knock
to
on
your
wood,
point,
Steph's fine.
I have the standings up right now. Warriors are actually 38-28 with the loss today. So 1 game behind Dallas in the loss column. I'm going to stick with the loss column because that's the most important thing right now. Everyone's played a different number of games, but ultimately, if you have games in hand and you need to win them, then you can't go backwards and unloss a loss, So
the Warriors have played 3 less games than the Lakers. What the hell?
Yeah. That's what the Decky absence, that span, and that's another part of the reason the Warriors are going to play more games down the stretch than other teams, because there's a couple games they had to make up in there. It's just the way, these things break a little bit. But when I'm looking at this, I see them 3 games back of the teams who are in that 6 seed race, the Kings, the Suns, the Pelicans. They've already thrown tiebreakers away against the Kings and Suns with some of those early season meltdowns, particularly the Sacramento Kings. Those were frustrating. So that tells me they need to, if they want to get the 6 seed, they need to outright have a better record. They're not going to get it on tiebreaker. Is it doable at this point? Because we're talking about they need to make up probably 4 games on those teams. I would say 40. I stand by what I said before we went to the All-Star break. 48 wins is probably the least. That's the bare minimum to get the 6 seed this year. You just look at every team's record. Last year it was 44 wins for the Warriors. This year I think it's probably closer to 48 wins. That means they got to go 16-6 down the stretch. 16-6 doesn't sound that bad when you say it out loud, though. because they're currently 12-4 over their last 16. If they continue playing ball like this, I'm pretty sure they can win 16 of the last 22.
I love the playback comments. This is why we go live, because they're on top of it. But they talk about the Sun schedule being brutal, right? They throw that out there. The Lakers schedule, we saw that the other day. It's brutal. The Lakers are playing home games. They're playing some damn good teams. So the Warriors do have a strength of schedule advantage over teams. So yeah, I mean, you say 48 wins. Do the Suns get to 48? There are some tough games, and the Suns, tonight the Suns play really. So it's like every night it's a bloodbath, and maybe you only need to win 46, 47. I mean, you're probably right. You probably need to win 48 games to get a top 6 seed, but these teams is not easy games, man. Anywhere in the Western Conference, and the Warriors do have a not lucky schedule. It's just an easier schedule because they're scheduled in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'm pulling up Tankathon right now, which has kind of strength of schedule, and Suns have the hardest schedule remaining. Lakers have the 5th hardest. For what it's worth, it's the NBA. A game can look tough on paper, and then the Cavs decide to sit Donovan Mitchell and Allen and Mobley, and all of a sudden it's not that tough a game, But like all you can go off of is kind of what it looks like right now. Dallas and the Warriors basically have the same strength of schedule the rest of the way. Dallas is up 1 game on the Warriors, and as you said, they play 3 times. I kind of feel like whoever wins 2 of those 3 matchups is probably going to end up being the higher seed, because then they have the tiebreaker on top of it. Sacramento, middle of the road strength of schedule. New Orleans, middle of the road, a little on the tougher side. Like the Warriors do have the easiest schedule of all those teams remaining, but they still have to take care of business the rest of the way. Yeah. And Phoenix did lose Devin Booker last night, right?
Wow, did they? I thought it was Bradley Beal, but shit.
It was Bradley Beal. Sorry, my bad.
They get hurt all the time.
Wrong True Hooper.
True Hooper is crazy. I mean, the Suns are kind of a mess, honestly. KD's been a little bit of a mess lately. But regardless, I mean, it's a bloodbath back there at the end. They're letting us know Devin Booker actually did get hurt last night. Oh, Sam, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I stand corrected.
He rolled his. Yeah, I didn't see the severity of it, but he's out. But anyway, the point: the Suns aren't a deep team. They need everyone in there too. So the long and the short of it is, crappy game today. We could talk big picture on the Warriors. They still got opportunity. No one had them winning in Boston today. I just ignore the fact that they got their teeth kicked in. 2 to 3 times a year, you are allowed to lose a game show because you're tired. The problem with the Warriors was they did it 10 to 12 times at the beginning of the season. But big picture, this isn't the one that's going to get me yelling into the mic angry. Yeah. The Kings one where they pulled Moses Moody, I was furious in that one. This one, it's sucks. But I'm doing Klay Thompson. 4 fingers. 4.
Well, this one and the Denver game are a little reminiscent. Now, Denver outplays you pretty much the entire way after you get off to a hard start. And Boston is another one where it's just were you going to win this game? Right? You would kind of have to play this like a game 4. Steph's really going to have to lock in, that type of stuff to win this game. And it's just I don't know. This is not the one. Now, Sam, if they had let a game slip through the cracks in the first 3, yeah, then I think we can sit there hey, man, you guys effed around, and now you finished the road trip 2-2 or 1-3. But these guys took care of business the first 3 games, completely locked in the first 3 games and won all 3. Played the second end of a back-to-back coming in at 8 a.m. Now I sound like Fitz, but they locked in for all 3 of those.
Positivity merchants.
I feel like sometimes people bitch at us. It's dude, we get to be positive in this moment. I don't know. It's hard to be angry at a team that loses a game like this. I don't know, Sam. I'm with you. I agree with you. It's hard to be frustrated with this type of game.
I've made amends with where the season is. I was angrier in the first half of the season, but they're building something. I don't think they're going to go too far this year, but we'll see. And the last thing I wanted to pull out on that point is, I think you nailed it. If they take care of business the rest of the way, they have a very realistic shot at avoiding the play-in. Taking care of business means you don't lose to the Knicks without OG Anunoby, which they did not do. So taking care of business means you beat the Chicago Bulls next week, no questions, and you beat the Spurs even if Wemby goes insane. And then if you lose to Milwaukee, so be it.
That's fine.
Be it. It's about not losing games that you should have the rest of the way. And I think if they do that and then, split kind of the 50-50 games, maybe against Dallas, they do need to win 2 of 3 against Dallas. But you know what? If you can't beat Dallas 2 out of 3 times, you don't deserve to be a higher seed than them anyway.
That is fair. Fair.
So, I mean, it all comes back to the same point, which is take care of business. Yep. Anyway, let's do some Bills, and I got some questions for you.
And this month's, this season's Light Years podcast is brought to you by Under Armour. Steph Curry makes you believe you can do anything, and the Curry 11s are specifically designed with ultimate bounce, grip, stability to allow everyone to do their thing. New generations of ball players are coming up, showing the basketball world that the old rules do not apply. The future is exciting, fast, positive, and hungry. This NBA season, rock with your favorite player, rep his shoes on and off the court. Curry 11s are perfect for both the committed and casual ballers. The UA Warp Tech makes the shoe feel like it was designed for your feet, locked in no matter what you do on the court. So stop in your tracks, or you can stop in your tracks with dual density UA flow, cushioning, and traction. An emergency brake you don't even notice. Steph's 11th signature shoe steps into the second decade of his sneaker career, pulling colorway inspiration from the wonders of a positive and modernized future on off the court. Take these kicks with you when you leave the scrimmage and rep UA wherever you go. Do your thing. Change the game. The Curry 11, Future Curry, available now at currybrand.com. And this week's Light Years podcast, brought to you by Game Time. You should not have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. Obviously, the Warriors, a little bit of a homestand. We just talked about Milwaukee, Chicago, San Antonio. Get your tickets there at Chase Center with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute tickets, and we're talking about this earlier. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball. Giants are coming back. Big signings. Excited. I will be there at AT&T, I will be there at Oracle Park. You got baseball coming back, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for big time savings, and the Game Time guarantee means you always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and roll for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use Light Years for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Nice. Okay, so Jaylen Brown came out scorching hot today. Ended the game 22 minutes. I mean, they pulled their guys mid-third quarter as well. 29 points, 11 of 19, 5 for 10 from 3. The most notable thing is the Warriors went with the strategy to sag off of him, basically daring him to shoot. I didn't hate it in theory because I think Boston's at their best when the ball's hopping. Like, Jaylen Brown ISO ball in theory should be a win for the defense, right? Like, if he's going ISO, that's better than like you getting kickouts for Derek White 3, Pritchard 3, Tatum 3, that sort of thing, right? Yeah. Anyway, none of it mattered because the Warriors just didn't bring any energy. And even if that was a smart game plan on paper, it didn't actually execute to anything, right? Every time I watch Jaylen Brown, I think of Jonathan Kuminga a little bit. And I've made this analogy to you many times because people always ask me, how good do you think Kuminga can be? You know, it's a fun topic. He's playing phenomenal, potential most improved player. And to me, I don't want to be comparing him to someone like Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi's for like one of the best of all time. It seems very unrealistic to think his handle is going to calm down like that and he's just going to become automatic from mid-range like he's KD or Kawhi, right? But I think someone like Jaylen Brown is actually kind of a realistic ceiling for Kuminga in general. I'm just curious what your thoughts on that are, because I'm looking at Jaylen Brown's trajectory. If you remember, he was pretty inconsistent early on for the Celtics.
Yes, I remember
had issues getting into the lineup. They had Gordon Hayward ahead of him. They had veterans ahead of him who were better than him at the time. And they stuck with him. And you know what? He did turn into an all-star. And I think everyone would agree he's a perennial all-star now.
I disagree with you.
That he's a perennial all-star?
That the comp to Kuminga is Jaylen Brown. So
okay.
That's what I was going for. Yes, he is a perennial all-star. It is factual that he is. I cannot argue against that. Cannot disagree against that. Although, if he's in the Western Conference, is he? I watched Jaylen Brown, and I'm like, he could shoot. Now, it's not super consistent, I guess, but he can shoot. He jumps. It's a real jump shot, and he takes a lot of them. And so that's where 5 a game for his career. But actually, he's shot. I mean, you have the basketball reference up right now. He shot 7.5 last season. 3s attempted per game. I never want to see Kuminga shoot more than 1 3 per game. And so my comp for him, and because of that, and I actually think Jaylen Brown is super athletic coming into the NBA. I actually think Kuminga's more athletic. Which is
bigger.
Crazy. Yeah,
and bigger. He's 2 inches taller, and he is more athletic, which is insane.
Which is crazy, because Jaylen Brown ain't a slouch. I mean, dude's a beast. Yeah. My comp for him, and you actually brought this up, and since then I've run around with it. It's actually Jimmy Butler. Is actually a guy that just is head down, go to the line. Now Jimmy Butler has insane mid-range game, and he's got counters, he's got post moves, all this type of stuff that Kuminga theoretically is going to learn in the next couple of years. So that's beside the point. But Jimmy Butler makes a living out of getting to the hole and getting fouled. And he has a really solid functional handle to go with it. And Jimmy Butler very rarely shoots 3s unless he's super hot. Playoff Jimmy, right?
Yeah. Unless it's against the Bucks in the playoffs or the Celtics, then he's like, I got you guys.
Exactly. I mean, that honestly, he's amazing. But to me, that's more like it. I see the Jaylen, because I think Jaylen Brown, because I think your point is Jaylen Brown, when he came in, he was raw but super talented, right? Jimmy Butler coming into the NBA was totally different. Second round pick, like who was his guy?
4-year player. Yeah. The other thing about Jaylen and Kuminga is they're teenagers coming in.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I see your point. And actually, I agree with you in the sense of Jimmy Butler doesn't really dribble at the top of the key much anymore. Like, he gets the ball kind of 15-foot extended and just kind of goes to work there, which is what Kuminga does these days. They now let Kuminga get the ball kind of facing up around the free throw line extended and just go to it, and try to draw a foul, more likely finish inside. And if you shoot it, it's more of like the 10-foot little midi in traffic than trying to pull 3s. So I don't hate that. I don't hate that comp. I think it's more realistic. He becomes really refined at doing that than he develops a 3 like Jaylen Brown. Probably. I think that makes sense. The chat saying Siakam, I don't hate that either. Siakam has a better handle, but same thing. He operates inside, free throw line and below. I don't think that's a bad comp at all. How about this? Let me frame the Jaylen Brown comp in a different way than you. Jaylen Brown, this is his 3rd All-Star game. Probably should have been an All-Star 4 or 5 times. He's basically been an All-Star from age 24 on. From age 23 to 24 on, he's been 20-plus points per game, consistently one of the better wings. He's not Kawhi and KD, but like that second tier of All-Star wing, right? Jonathan Kuminga, will he be a better player than Jaylen Brown when he's 27? Because that's how old Jaylen Brown is now. We're talking about over the next 5 years.
Wow.
Will Kuminga develop into being as good, even if their styles are different?
Man.
Or better than Jaylen Brown or not? Because that's kind of where I'm seeing it. I view Jaylen Brown as,
chat's going no. Chat's going no. Wow, the chat. I'm surprised by that. Wow.
I'm looking at it right now. Jaylen Brown Kuminga putting up nearly 16, 5, and 2, playing 26 minutes a game in year 3. Go look at what Jaylen Brown did year 3. Same amount of minutes per game, 13, 4, 1. Like, it's at worst, they're producing pretty similarly. You're seeing flashes of greatness, but not consistency.
Wow. I feel like you're going to say, I feel like you think yes. I feel like you think he has more. Because the thing about Jaylen Brown is he's never developed the handle to get him to the next level, right? That's the thing about Jaylen Brown is that he's never, and I know at this point it's probably too late. He's 27 already. You'd argue that he doesn't have all the handle to totally get there. Also, another thing about Jaylen Brown,
he's not going to come back and be like KD off the dribble in the offseason.
It's just not how it works. Not with
and neither's Kuminga, by the way. But
maybe his handle's gotten a lot better. And I've not been super high, but his handle's like he very, very rarely loses the ball now, especially in transition. I think outside of the 3-point shooting, because I do think Kuminga ends up being a better to the rack paint finisher type of guy. Do we think that Jaylen Brown is an elite defender? Do we think that?
I think he's been a very good defender at times. So that's a no.
Yeah, right.
I think he's proven he can be a playoff defender, though, which is kind of what we're good. Neither of them are Andre Iguodala. Neither of them are neither of them are Kawhi Leonard. But are they guys who can play? I mean, Andrew Wiggins never made an all-defensive team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Can they defend in stretch? I honestly want to bring up, let's do this. I want to have some fun with this.
Okay.
So I see our guy, Jake Eisenberg, in the chat. For those who don't know Jake, he contributes to Celtics blog. Very informed on the Celtics. Jake, I'm putting you on the spot and bringing you up on stage right now. So I'm curious his thoughts because he's watched every one of Jaylen Brown's games.
Right.
Every single one of them. So I'm curious your thoughts on the tone of this conversation because God knows we're not. Yeah. What's up, Jake? Curious your thoughts on this conversation because Lord knows we're not talking about that game. Right.
Yeah, I was shocked. The game ended and you guys weren't talking about the 52-point win.
No chance.
Man, we needed that one. That was really fun. But
y'all needed that one. You guys needed that. 47 win team. You guys are going to win 65 games. Y'all needed that one.
Yeah, but you don't get it, dude. You guys do weird things to us. And you saw Porzingis was out. I was going to see Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum turnovers. Anyway.
Fair enough.
The Jaylen Brown arc, like using that year, the 18-19 year, and to be fair, I guess this is parallels to the Warriors season this year a little bit, but like that 18-19 year was a fucking disaster for the Celtics. That was the year we had Kyrie coming back and Hayward coming back, Marcus Morris, Terry Rozier. That
was the year that Kyrie was flirting with KD at the All-Star game, right?
Correct.
Where it was pretty clear, like midway or towards the end of the season, he was out the door.
Correct. Exactly. That was the year that we got to the playoffs and Kyrie Irving decided to switch onto Giannis multiple games in a row and completely tank the series. Yeah. Like it was like one of like the biggest tank jobs I've ever seen in my life. So that year was really weird. And like, obviously the Warriors have had their own weirdness this year as well. But Jaylen's like his development, people use like Jaylen and Kawhi as like, that's like your ceiling development arcs. Like Jaylen, I'm still shocked that he's turned into this guy. We didn't see like the handle improving to the way that it was. The shooting, like he wasn't supposed to be a good shooter. And his 3-point numbers the last couple of years have been down a little bit, but you can't like in the playoffs, like he's a tough shot maker. And that's why his games typically translated really well to the playoffs. Everybody, is always going to focus on that Miami series and that Warriors series for Tatum, but both of them have had one bad series each ever. His game translates really well to the playoffs because he can make tough shots in the mid-range and kind of from three. I feel like that's a ceiling outcome for Kuminga is to be a guy at that level, just like similar to Siakam, right? Like that, like there's and Jimmy, that those guys are all guys that like late outside of Jaylen, who was a 3rd overall pick, but their development arcs are pretty rare. And maybe Kuminga is that guy, but I think maybe he's like a kind of a tier below. He's really impressed me though. Like I remember you guys, I was on this show. The first one I watched, it was after you guys almost lost to the Blazers. And I remember Sam.
Oh,
Was
that was the game where they didn't play Kuminga in the first half, and it was all the old guys, and it was like, what are we doing here? Type of thing. Yeah.
And I remember you were like, I would take Kuminga over Shaden Sharp. And at the time I was like, that seems kind of crazy to me. But
who's more athletic?
I mean, they're both insane.
Yeah.
Like I think
they should both do the dunk contest, not Jaylen.
Hey, at least Jalen's trying.
True. Good point.
At least someone's trying. I knew that was going to go badly for Jaylen, but they're like, I thought that was a kind of a crazy comp just from like the feel and IQ of Kuminga has obviously been something that he really struggled with. But I forget the game of the Warriors that I watched. He made like one play, like one pass to Clay, and I was like, I think maybe he's getting it. And he's been really impressive from that perspective. Like, so I don't know what's Kuminga's like work ethic like, because Jaylen Brown has a 99th percentile work ethic. Like he's a psycho. Same with Tatum. Like they every year, they get better every year, and they will always continue to get better.
I think Brandon Pajemski is 99th percentile work ethic. Steph Curry is 99th. I think Kuminga's not a bad work ethic guy. I'm not saying he's bad, but he is not 99%. Sam, do you disagree?
I don't know about that. I just think
9% is a lot. That's like
it's
stuff that
it's the bigger question with him.
It's not a slight.
The bigger question with him had been maturity. Like he was basically, he wouldn't respond well to coaching. Coaches would tell him to do something and kind of throw his hands in the air. So more immaturity than work ethic for me. But I'm bringing up a very specific stretch of games here. Everyone remembers Kuminga's lost faith in Steve Kerr, the leak to Shams, which was hilarious now that we look back on it. This is what he's done in the 25 games since then, 24. 20 points per game, 56% from the field, 6 rebounds a game, 3 assists. I, like you, agree. It's making those extra reads and turning into a guy who can play Warrior-style basketball, read and react. That has been most exciting to me.
Yeah.
Here's what I look at him. The speed at which he keeps improving makes me not want to put a ceiling on what he can be. I do think he can get to an all-star wing caliber player. I do not want to compare him to like the all-timers, the Kawhis, the KDs, the LeBron. Like that's a different. That's a different. Yeah, well, let him win one before we go there.
We're trying.
And that's why I bring up the Jaylen Brown and the Siakam, because honestly, if he hits that caliber of player, that is a win every time. Like you can't ask for better than that. So anyway,
I think the ceiling's there for sure. I would just be like, it's just hard to get there, and so. You guys know the type of guy that he's better than me. And if he can, and he also, he's so fucking young, but like, if he can kind of get that work ethic piece down, then maybe he gets there because he's got the tools. I mean, he's a freak. Like, and so, maybe a lower outcome is like Andrew Wiggins in the finals, but Andrew Wiggins in the finals.
Every game. Yeah. No, I mean, even with that, he's more natural. He's better off the bounce than Wiggins was. Wiggins could just shoot the ball out.
But Wiggins wasn't. He became an elite shooter for a couple years there. That's the difference. And Wiggins is better
and
on
a better
ball.
Defender.
He's a way better on ball. Wiggins is quicker, smarter. But that might come with time, though. Yeah. Like that stuff might just come with time, because I don't know if Kuminga is ever guarding 1s and 2s like Wiggins because he's just bigger. But telling me he can guard 3s and 4s. I mean, most elite teams in the NBA, like Kuminga in 3 years, can he just take Tatum? You know what I'm saying? That's
his best moment defensively this year was the Warriors Celtics game at Chase Center, where he was guarding Tatum down the stretch of that game. So I was just kind of say, Jake, we appreciate you hopping.
So dumb, dude. Son of a bitch.
Oh, the last thing to
I'll go, man.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, man. You're an asshole, dude.
Sorry, I had to get that one in.
He's in a good mood. Mood.
Jake, really appreciate that. It's a good call out, and it's like none of those comps are 1-to-1. Like everything you guys are saying about Jaylen's game being different is accurate. Not disagreeing with that. No. But I just view it as like you got what I was saying. Yeah. Raw wing who turned himself into a perennial all-star. That seems like the Kuminga trajectory, and I just can't. I always think of it every time I see the Celtics. Better thinking about that than whatever the hell today's game was.
It's also really hard. You know how many raw wings out there that don't pan out? It's also really, really hard.
Kelly Oubre.
You know what I'm saying? And honestly, Kelly Oubre, you would probably count him as a success because he's had a long NBA career. But it's like there's so many guys out there that just
on a vet minimum in his 20s.
Exactly. I mean, look, man, we make fun of Wiseman all the time. He's not a raw wing, but he's a raw big that's out of the. He's gonna be out of the league, right? Like that is more often than not what actually happens. To think that Kuminga is gonna.
It's fair.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I don't. And then a 7 pick, like he's not a 1 or 2 pick, right? So anyway, I like this Kuminga conversation. Probably one we should have had before, but I like this one. Ongoing.
It is ongoing, and it's, you know what? He is a very important piece to this team going forward, so we'll figure it out.
Yep.
We'll get Gio up here to doom and gloom.
To the Goons. Gio's asleep.
How's it going?
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
I mean, good. I mean, honestly, I'm not depressed. Honestly, I'm not depressed. Like, the truth of the matter is, like, we're not that. We're like a middle. Like, we're not that good as a team, really. Like we don't have like. I mean, honestly, you know what? I am sad because Looney looks finished. That's sad to me. Like I don't know what he does now for us anymore. Like, I mean, he can't guard the Joker types. He's not really like a third big anymore. Like, I don't know what he is in this league. Like, that is depressing. That is depressing to me. Like, I don't know. That's sad. I mean, that's to me. That's my take, honestly. There you go.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Gio.
Yeah.
Touchdown up here. We'll talk a little
Looney stuff is sad though. I like how Gio's like, I'm not that sad. I'm pretty sad.
Yeah, I know. The pivot mid-sentence was amazing.
My God. Love him. Love him.
What was I gonna say? Whatever. Steve Kerr post game right now saying flush it. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I took from this game. Just flush it down to it. All right. Tatiana, what do you got from us? Are we about to relitigate little Matt Chapman?
Ooh.
I'm kind of interested now. I'm more so interested if they are actually going to sign Blake Snell and that might actually compete for, let's say,
Sam
the
Sources
second
says it's happening. Sam Sources says it's happening.
Sam Sources? Okay.
Hey,
Don't
look,
fail us now.
Yeah, there you go. We can talk now. There you go.
Yes, I actually just got some earbuds. Yes. It took a minute, but we're back, baby. We're back. Unfortunately, the Warriors are not, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, since we all kind of agree that this is a transition period, my question is, when is Kerr going to start to experiment with the Moody and Trace minutes? Because they're somehow a real positive duo, but it's kind of like, we need a better wing. So who's going to be the wing on the market for this coming offseason that we should look for then?
I mean, there's rumors that Brandon Ingram's getting traded.
There's actual rumors of that? Really?
Well, you've been calling it, Sam, for freaking 7 months now.
It's like Siakam. I'm calling, he's finally in the last year of his contract this offseason, so it'll happen, just not to the Warriors.
This is why Kerr was saying he loves Ingram. That was a little weird, but it makes more sense now.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Clippers with Podcast P. Probably, I think the Clippers are probably just going to run it back, but you never know. You have an embarrassing playoff meltdown. How many years in a row can you run the same thing back, right? We'll see. I mean, part of me is wondering if they shouldn't cash in part of their wing depth into a big instead and just have less wings. They have a lot, like Wiggins, Kuminga, Moody, GP2's a wing.
GP2's a wing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they got
but
a lot of
wing
guys.
in a 6'3" body doesn't help at this point, especially when he's not healthy.
It doesn't matter. He plays him at the 3 anyway. So, but I'm just saying, like, if you could cash some of that into being like a guy who's 6'10", 6'11", God forbid 7 feet, like that wouldn't be the worst thing on earth either, So
first time I've heard you say that. So that's interesting. I like that one.
I don't know. I'm optimistic about the young guys. I kind of feel like they can help this team. They just need one more consistent veteran contributor. That was supposed to be Wiggins. That's not happening. We know where Clay's at in his career. I think Clay will be back, but on a smaller deal.
Another wing, by the way. That
was the most obvious one we forgot, by the way.
Yeah, it's another wing because it certainly isn't a guard anymore. No,
he's not.
Yeah, they're weird where they have a lot of wings, but like, I wonder. I look, man, I don't think Wiggins is on this team, so I think that's really the thing where it's like, what do you get for Wiggins? And let me ask you this: if you were to throw Brandon Podziemski on the trade market, what is his value?
Like Jokic, maybe. I don't know. Him and Kuminga are by far the most attractive pieces to teams wanting to make a trade with the Warriors, because obviously Steph's not on the market. Like that goes without saying. So I don't know. Be reasonably attractive.
Yeah. Like if you throw Chris Paul a salary and then you throw a pick and then let's say they're not going to trade him. I'm just throwing this out there, guys. But you throw Podziemski in. It's like, what do you get? Can you get Ingram with that?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we should have done what we should have done in 2020 and get Miles Turner. But okay. See what it's going.
Trade machine legend Miles Turner. He's never getting moved though. Never happening.
Indiana's got a fun team. They'll ride it out there. They'll be a second round exit for a couple of years, and then Halliburton.
Yeah, fun 35 to 40 win team that becomes a first round exit. Yes.
35 is insane, but I hear you. I hear you. Indy's fun. I like Indy. Hipster. NBA hipster. Tachon, appreciate it, brother.
What else we got to get to here? Let's get to Ken real quick. And we call it a day after that.
OG.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Sir.
In the words of Steve Kerr, flush it and move on.
That was a tough one, but
yeah,
it was so immediately. I was checked out after like this halfway through the second quarter. So.
Yeah. This one doesn't bother me as much as other ones, just because it was like you saw it on the schedule, like day game at the end of a long road trip. This feels like a blowout. Doesn't mean it was fun to watch, because while you're watching it real time, you're like, can it be less embarrassing, guys? Like a little bit less, but
it wasn't.
On to the next one. Like I said, those giving up 15-point leads in the fourth quarter to like the Kings and the Thunder, those ones. Those ones made my blood.
Talking about them.
Those ones made my blood boil way more than this.
Yeah. This one was going to be a tough game no matter what. Steph could have been healthy. Pods could have been there. Zinger could have been playing for Boston. Whatever. They've only lost at home 3 times this year.
Wow.
Boston's tough at home this year. They're loaded for bear. They're doing those marginal trades at the very bottom of their roster.
Yep.
Load up their whole. The X-Man is their last pick in that the guy they picked up from Philadelphia. I forget his name, but he hounded Steph when we played the Sixers a couple weeks ago. They got a real shot at a championship, and they are doing everything within their power to compete all the way. Hats off to the Celtics this year.
Yeah.
I wish we
and that's the other part of it. It is what it is. The Warriors did not decide to cash in their chips and go for it this year. We'll have different conversations in the offseason. I'm just trying to enjoy the season's development for the rest of the way, because what's the other option? I sit here every pod being like, they need to make a trade. The deadline's over, but they need to do it. You got to move on at some point. So.
There's nothing left. Otto didn't get waived, and his health.
I'm a little surprised by that. I kind of thought he was gonna just take the buyout. Maybe he's done. Honestly, like we talk about 2022 feels like a couple of those Giants titles where you're like, they were not the best team, but they just did what they just got hot at the right time. I don't know. Andy might disagree with me, because I'm looking at Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Looney, and Otto Porter, and I don't think any of them will ever be able to do what they did that season ever again.
And GP,
A lot of Cody Ross energy.
GP2 was a beast that year and came back healthy enough to. I mean, that was the karmic restitution or the Kiki Vandeweghe substitute.
I like that. We're going with that.
I like that.
That was 22. Hey, makes up for a lot of LeBron bitching and moaning.
Well, we're gonna get some LeBron bitching in a moment next season on the Warriors.
Yeah.
On the Warriors.
You see that bucket he got yesterday where he got his shot legitimately blocked by someone from Denver, maybe Peyton Watson or one of those. I don't know. Came all the way back to the ground. Shot his continuation with his foot back on the ground. So he shouldn't have gotten the continuation. It wasn't a foul, but he ended up getting a bucket and a free throw. Anyway, but you know what? We won in 22. It's all okay. It's all okay.
Yeah.
It's the banner's hanging. It's real.
I put it in the comments, but I'm going to just throw this out there, and it can't happen till the off season. But let's face it, with Wiggins going on his own again for a second time. Clearly, that's a liability contract at the moment, but so is John Collins. And I wonder, could John Collins at center for the Warriors with Draymond at the 4, telling him where to be, yelling at him, he'd take it. Collins would take it. He's got that kind of athleticism that you want in a center. I would say his basketball awareness doesn't appear to be high.
There we go.
But you know what? We've seen some other guys whose basketball awareness wasn't high get kind of moved around on the floor by Draymond's mouth, which has not slowed down in his old age. That could conceivably be a thing that could work, and it's 2 bad contracts. So neither team's taking anything on that they can't handle.
Right.
Anyway.
Appreciate it, Ken. John Collins would be like the ultimate Draymond heat check. Because as bad as Minnesota Wiggins was, he wasn't as big a mess as Collins is on defense.
Collins is a mess. Yeah, it's I see the vision though, right? Because we talk about Miles Turner, we've talked about Aaron Gordon, and obviously
a 5-man who can punish you for doubling Steph.
I think distressed asset too, right? Yeah. Is part of it, and unfortunately Wiggins is now a distressed asset, but that will be kind of the story of the offseason is who they look for. Hey, maybe we'll wrap it up with this because he brought up the Denver Nuggets last night. To me, the Denver Nuggets are the best team in the NBA, Samuel, and it's not close.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
The only way this team is not repeating is if someone gets hurt. Their starting 5 is so far and away better than anyone else's 5-man unit. And what makes them dangerous for the playoffs is it reminds me of the Warriors because none of those guys are old. They're all like 27, 29, 28, 27. Like they have the legs and the IQ to play 40 plus minutes every playoff game. So you don't need to worry about like their 9th man, Yeah, man, I have one for you on them. They have more offensive firepower than the peak version of the Warriors. They're not better defensively than the 2017 Warriors, but
nah, they don't.
I think I don't know, man.
Steph and Clay.
Imagine KCP and Aaron Gordon offensively are so much better than Draymond and Iguodala.
KD, Steph, and Clay.
Jokic is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, but that's one.
I mean, Jamal Murray, KD kind of play the same role.
Oh God! All right. And with that,
Clay and MPJ are a wash on offense.
Oh my God!
Like I said, defense.
MPJ was benched in the playoffs. He was benched.
Like I said, defense is separated. But in offense.
You sound like Bob Myers on ESPN right now. That guy is a clown. I'm off, Bobby. I'm off.
It was all Kirk. It was all Kirk, Joe, and Kent. Bob was just a passerby on the ride. Jerry West. There we go. All right. Appreciate it, everyone.
See you guys Tuesday.